Okay, so it's kind of a thing. I think we can all agree that when a person is like existing in their divinity, existing in their power, it often creates tension. Oh my god, I'm slipping over my words. It often creates tension, and then the wind starts picking up awesome. More often than not, it creates this tension and this discomfort within others. And upon doing some like soul searching and whatnot, I realized that like I do that for other people a lot, obviously unintentionally. And recently I found myself on the other end of this phenomenon where there was this dude and he was just kind of existing as himself, and he wasn't necessarily like rude per se, maybe a tiny bit obnoxious, maybe we could say he was rude, I don't know, but more or less, like when I look at it from an objective standpoint, he was just kind of being himself and being loud and proud about it. And I found myself being a little bit uncomfortable in his presence. And I think because like it showed clearly how like distressed I was, he asked me if I was okay, and I was like, yeah. And he was like, sorry if I triggered you or whatever he said. And I was like, yeah, it's not your fault, you're a great dude, you're fine, you know. And I feel like that was a big thing for me, low-key, because it was like, yes, I'm triggered by your presence, you make me uncomfortable, but also I recognize objectively that you are kind of a cool dude. And I feel like more of us need to be able to do that, you know, take a moment to pause when we feel those deep moments of like discomfort, and instead of projecting that on the other person and being like, oh my god, I'm gonna keep fucking messing up my words. Instead of projecting those feelings onto the other person and blaming them for how you feel, or like trying to create a narrative for this person, we reflect and we ask ourselves, first of all, why are we feeling this? Like, what is this feeling trying to tell me? Like, what am I to learn from this feeling? And in some cases, it is intuition. It is your intuition telling you that this person might be a bad person, or they might fuck you over in the future or whatever. But like a lot of the times, it's really just misplaced energy. Because I could have easily chosen to like develop some narrative and like to make him out to be like a bad guy because I was uncomfortable with his energy, because I felt some type of way about his presence. But instead I chose to acknowledge his divinity and acknowledge him existing in his power and leave it there. Like, I did go out of my way to talk to him a few times. He had this dog with him, so I that kind of made up for some things, I guess. But you know, it was like, there's always something to be learned. There's always something to be gained from any connection, from any situation. You just have to be willing to ask yourselves, oh my god, I keep singular, ask yourself. Unless, I don't know, maybe there's many of you inside of you, but I don't know. But ask yourself singular, why are you feeling this way, and like what you can do with the feeling to be productive, you know? I'm at the beach currently, and before I took this walk, I actually found myself in a crying moment where I was like really going through some emotion. And now the wind starts picking up again. I was really going through some emotions, and whenever I'm feeling a lot of emotions, I try to be productive with it. I try to go within, I try to ask myself the correct questions and like, you know, all the stuff. And I think the world would be a lot better of a place if more of us did that. So if nothing else from this video, I'm going to ask you, next time you're feeling uncomfortable by someone else, or by someone else's presence, whenever you feel those feelings, take a moment to really think about where those feelings are coming from and what they're trying to tell you. Instead of trying to paint a picture and like tell a story about who this other person is, just sit with yourself and think. Now, obviously, most of you don't give a fuck about what I'm saying, and you're probably not going to do this, but I urge you from the bottom of my heart, if you genuinely give a fuck about making the world a better place, start with yourself. Like, it's not always somebody else's problem. It's not always someone else's fault, you know? So, peace. Stay hydrated. Deuces.